Bohemia, the land that never was, of artists and bohemians, stretches all round the world, including every free, creative spirit, living basically on their dreams alone, but in reality in chronic poverty. But theirs is all the world, with all its beauty, charm and freedom, which it is their privilege to manage and sustain, to keep it flowing, flying and alive, to show the world there is a higher state of living than just on the ground in humdrum ordinaries. So their realm outwits and stretches beyond all politics, beyond all mundanity into eternal freedom, where the spirit has the right to soar and keep in sovereign superiority above the world and all its troubles, to sustain the real life of the soul for better ends and means than just mortality. Bohemien, landet ingenstans som aldrig fanns av konstnärer och bohemer, inkluderar hela världen och varenda fri självständigande som mest lever blott på sina drömmar men i verkligheten i obotlig fattigdom. Men deras är all världen med dess skönhet, charm och frihet, som det är just deras privilegium att bidra till och hålla flytande och flygande och levande, för att bevisa ständigt att det finns ett högre liv än bara kall materialism. Ty deras liv utklassar hela politiken och går bortom den och världsligheten i sin evighets totala frihet, där alena själen har sin suveräna rätt att råda, överlägsen allt och hela världens alla bråk, för att bevara verklighetens sanna liv för bättre ändamål än bara dödlighet. No time for love. The devastation of a failure of a love affair is more often than not enough to keep the lover out of love forever, or at least as long as he can do without it, as long as he can make resistance and withstand it, and as long as he does not completely languish, thirsting, hungering and suffering to death, like one deserted in the desert. For that moment always comes when you no longer can endure, but must surrender to that irresistibility and urge that is of all life's factors the most vital, seeking that salvation of a sound and natural release of all your life's most fundamental powers. Never say you have no time for love. That time will come when least expected, uninvited and surprisingly, since love can never long be kept locked out of doors and out of time. Headaches and heartaches. So shall we then let go, since all we cause each other is incessant worries, through our love that never leaves us any peace, but only trouble us with headaches and incessant heartaches. Freedom is the motto of our love, and there is nothing more important or invaluable, which at any cost must be secured and strived for always, since it is the only thing and means that can give any life at all, to our love and any possibility for it to breathe, for we need air under our wings to keep on flying freely and incessantly, since going down to earth is certain death, since all our life is only ideal flying splendor, like to any common swift. Cambridge, beloved town of knowledge, thanks for your idyllic depths of consummation in the field of the pursuit of truth and wisdom, heart of tolerance and freedom, both of conscience and of thought, while Oxford seemed to me more introverted, focused on the ego, its enhancement and complacency, in narcissistic dwindling spiral of the blind alleys of egoism, You, in humbler and sincerer aspirations, strive beyond yourself and this demented world of vanity. What you already have accomplished you ignore, to rather go ahead fixed on the future and beyond, to ever keep advancing rather than look back, for curiosity, to keep revealing what is round the corner, and continuing the research round the bend, to never stop investigating the black holes of ever more alarming lacks of our knowledge, but to always strive beyond the universe, to never stop confirming how exactly anything is possible. Thanks for adopting me, and I will ever faithfully remain one of your pupils of eternity. The hippie culture, maybe in the long run most important of our modern cultures, is set off already long before the First World War by Monte Verità in Switzerland above Ascona, marked by authors such as Daphne du Maurier and Erich Maria Remarque, sincerely seeking healthier alternatives to modern civilization by returning forthrightly to nature, stressing vegetarianism and outdoor life, in some ways in the vein of Tolstoy and Rousseau. The concept was completely lost during the two world wars, but then came back, and with a vengeance, in the 60s, as a universal rebel movement triggered by the Vietnam War, directed against the derailing of America after the Kennedy assassination, as a direct, natural, spontaneous reaction against world insanity. They say it brought another kind of weird insanity instead, but it was not just freaking out with drugs and escapism, but most of all a rebirth of the right of fantasy and creativity, exploding in experiments of boldness in the field of art, in clothes, in fashion, colours, music, films, and liberation in the way of living, the ideal returning of a sane life close to nature. It has never died, but keeps on being the one sane alternative to all the madness of the world, considering the politics of the establishment, of military powers constantly resorting to lunatic wars with tyranny and bombs and the destruction of humanity, especially now in the times of global crisis of the climate change, which proves capitalism and egoism, short-sighted politics of power, greed, materialism, and conformism to the establishment, all wrong from the beginning. Love at work. Why do we work so hard for nothing except vanity, it seems, but still so many predicate that work alone gives life a meaning. So they set their love at work, indulging in their work as in their love, and make their work their love and the justification for their lives, as if life without work would give them a bad conscience and debar them from their love and all life's meaning. But the meaning is of course just love, but in order to acquire it and reach it, you must work hard to deserve it, and the more you work, the more you do deserve it, which is probably the only meaning work imports, to make it something like a proper entrance gate to the deserved love that is its own reward. Forbidden remedy. When you are alone with all those wardrobe skeletons of losses irretrievable, of overwhelming melancholy and nostalgia that is the resulting madness of love lost forever, you will grasp at any straw of any infallibly failing quality to get at least some faint illusion of regaining something of your losses, like some phony medicine that only will deceive you. And that's how some people turn to drugs, a self-seduction of some soothing liberty from all your pains of body, heart and soul. And who has any heart then to forbid it? If LSD trips help you fly away from the unbearability of your reality, if marijuana temporarily relieves your heartaches, if injections or some snow helps you get on with that insufferable Golgotha of your invalid life, if tranquilizing dreams are better than the hell of your reality, who can debar you from that substitute of love, which might at least give some positive illusions of that love you never had but only lost? Not I. I grant you any license, for I know that any kind of love, and even flights from love and artificial love, at least if it is felt as love, can be as good as any love, and always better than no love at all. The secret garden. You came to me like through a hazy dream of lurid beauty veiled in mists, of unclear nowhereness, but more real than reality, directly from a distant past, of unknown and unconscious friendship, growing all the while clandestinely like some strange secret garden cultivated out of reach of any dirty hands, to suddenly appear in mature glory, opening some gates to paradise that I was not aware that they existed. Will it last, or is it just a dream? The future hides the answer out of sight for both of us, and I dare hardly even touch it, this amazing dream of such unheard of beauty, that I will remain enchanted, willingly preferring never to wake up, to risk trespassing and to harm the tiniest portion of this paradise of possibilities, so intact a botanic garden and so perfectly ideal. Is it possible? Is it possible to have a friend whom you can trust implicitly and have as your initiate and intimate companion for a lasting and infallible security? Is it possible to have a love that never fails but only grows, and who will stay in touch whatever happens, faithfully in daily interchange of trust? Is it possible to have a dream come true of only pure ideals of open-mindedness, a friend in every need who will not overrun or fail you, but remain in honest contact always, free of any shade of jealous egoism, and with only human understanding, patience, love, and warmth of heart, without the doubts of second thoughts? Yes, it is possible, but you must wait for it with patience. Venice, carrying the epithet La Serenissima since the morning of history. Salviamo Venezia! The supreme serenity of cities, you were timeless born and are still much ahead of time, without the hell of car pollution and with every street for only walkers. You were long the only democratic state of Italy, until Napoleon came and trampled down your ancient republic, ending that great age of yours, of 1,000 years of liberty, democracy, and tolerance. But still, you are the foremost queen of beauty among all the world's most beauteous towns in Italy, resplendent still, with none of your past glorious ages faded or forgotten. Now new threats are turning up, much worse and much more serious than that corporal 200 years ago who called your piazza the most beautiful of banquet halls in Europe, since oceans might be rising to extinguish Holland, New Orleans, New York, and you, among too many others, Bangladesh, the Maldives, any lowlands by the sea. And there's a challenge, not for only you, but for all mankind, to live up to face their own responsibility for having sullied and endangered all civilization, nature, and the world with ordinary egoistic greed, which did not make your beauty, which rather rose from the survival through the centuries of wars, invasions, natural disasters, and barbaric storms, and thus you stand a monument of beauty and survival, which will outlast all the vanities of this so greedily polluted world. Venedig. Bland städer står du högst i skönhet och serenitet, du otidsenliga som föddes tidlös och som alltjämt ligger före tiden, fri från bilavgasers helvete, där varje gata endast är förgående. Du var i sekler i Italien ensam som demokrati, tills Bonaparte kom och trampade ner din antika republik och avslutade ditt millennium av frihet, tolerans, demokrati och oberoende. Men ändå är du alltjämt främst bland drottningar i skönhet, bland vår världs mest vackra städer i Italien, strålande med intet glömt av allt ditt stora härliga förflutna. Men nu kommer nya hot som mycket värre är än den korpralen som benämnde för 200 år sedan din piazza Europas skönaste salong, då oceanerna kan stiga för att släcka ut New Orleans, Nederländerna, Maldiverna och Bangladesh och dig, bland allt för många andra städer invid havet. Och där har vi nu en utmaning för dig och hela världen att ta ansvaret och leva upp till det, för att ha lortat ner och skadat hela civilisationen med att hota allt liv i naturen genom girighetens hänsynslöshet, som inte skapade din skönhet, vilken snarare kom till genom århundradens prövningar av krig och invasioner, katastrofer och barbarstormar, så att du blev till något av ett monument för skönhetens och humanismens överlevnad, som minsann skall fortsätta att klara sig förbi all fåfäng ävlan i den här så förorenade, korrupta världen. Hungary, the powerhouse of freedom, always bursting with dynamics, hotly flowing in amazing, dazzling music, not just of the gypsies, but in the mentality, and everywhere you were always in the front line whenever there were quests for freedom under Kossuth, Sandor Peterfi, Franz Liszt, and leading Eastern Europe against Soviet Russia, sacrificing everything in 1956 for dreams of freedom, which at last gave some reward in 1989, when you let up the border for the Eastern Germans, which resulted in the democratic triumph avalanche, releasing all of Eastern Europe in the domino dynamics of the freedom victory. I always loved you with your splendid capital, one of the finest and most beautiful in Europe, the Danube Queen crowned on the hills in the most capital romantic setting, found anywhere of almost any city in all Europe. Keep your colors flying and your music going, and you will be celebrated ever for that freedom pathos and initiative that never could be quenched by any tyranny in history. Ungern. En dynamisk frihetskrutdurk, alltid explosiv och flödande av het musik, ej bara av zigenare, men överallt i hjärtat av mentaliteten. Du var alltid framom främsta linjen under Lajos Kossuth, Sandor Peterfi, Franz Liszt, i frihetspatos och i ledningen för hela Östeuropa mot Sovjetunionen när det gällde oberoende till varje pris, och offrande dig själv och allt år 56 för frihetsdrömmar som fick sin belöning och gav äntligt resultat år 89, när du öppnade din gräns för östtyskar att fly, som resulterade i triumflavinen av demokrati för hela Östeuropas äntliga befrielse, i dominodynamiskt segertåg till frihet. Alltid älskade jag dig med din exotiskt sköna huvudstad, en av de vackraste i hela Europa, Donaudrottningen, storslaget krönande de höga kullarna, i kanske det mest storslaget romantiska av alla lägen för en stad i Europa. Håll din härlighet igång med din fantastiska musik, och du skall alltid firas för ditt frihetspatos och initiativ, som aldrig kunde krossas någonsin av något tyranni i all historien. The danger of relationships. There is no challenge more extreme than that of close relationships, since every one of them presents a mortal danger, that of getting burned by coming up too close, to knowing all too well the other's secrets, opening the cupboards full of skeletons that never can be cancelled or let down, of past and failed and capsized loves that you could never quite accept as lost. Each life is full of them, and there is nothing more exciting and more dangerous than to explore them as they go on living, haunting you like zombies. You know all too well your own ghosts, and you live in constant fear of them, associating with them every night, involuntarily or willingly. Imagine then the parallel experiences of others, with as many ghosts but with completely different stories, and put two of those disturbing bags together, and what will you get? An abyss without end of doubled, troublesome experiences, each worse than any of the others, to which there can be no end of bothersome, exciting, and intriguing exploration. The heartbreaker. The worst thing is that it could happen just to anybody, and no one wants to talk about it. You just want to disappear, shut up your heart and all your life, to lick your wounds and kill your pain, which only makes it worse. It hurts when buds in spring are bursting, but it hurts so infinitely more when flowers in full bloom of beauty just get trampled down by inconsideration and short-sighted egoism, which lives by driving over victims, leaving them behind and never caring, while the victims were the ones who cared. Hjärtekrossaren. Det värsta är att det kan hända vem som helst, men ingen tycker om att tala om det. Man vill bara stänga in sig, tillsluta sitt hjärta, för att snörpa åt sin smärta, vilket bara gör den värre. Visst gör det ont när knoppar brister, men långt ondare ändå, när vackra blommor trampas ner av tanklöshet och egoism, som lever blott för att gå över lik och strunta i dem efteråt. Symbiosis. You are part of me, and I cannot deny it. Since your feelings are my own, whatever you feel, I feel also, and thus your tears are mine, and all your life is my responsibility. In spite of all your faults and lacks and wants, which cause us constant worries and are criticizable indeed, I can't get you out of my heart, no matter how you wound and stab it. Hurt me and destroy me, but you must stay there, caged in my own soul and freedom, which is all your life as well as mine. Thus are we chained together by our destiny, for good, for worse, for life, forever, and all that we can do about it is the best of this quixotic situation, of a tender love that hurts but cannot find a cure, of living by its wounds and bleeding constantly to death, in never-ending continuity. Love at work. Balance must needs be preserved, or love cannot survive. The bread of love is continuity, for if it does not last, it is not even worth exploiting. But if it be short-lived and short-sighted, something to be sorry for, and afterwards regret, and maybe even be ashamed of. Loving you is the more holy for me, the less I consume it, use it, waste it, spend it, and devour it, since I believe in love and therefore worship it, and rather keep it safely at some distance than take any risks of harming it. That's why my life instead is wasted as a workaholic, but, mind you, creatively, constructively, and positively. since a man's work is his test of competence, and without competence there cannot be a lasting love. So let me keep on working for sustaining my creativeness and for my love of you.